Hey, 8th graders. I'm glad you came to get some help at the YouTube channel. Um, Hopefully that I can answer some questions of this or at least get you started going on your homework. Today we talked about literal equations and we talked about how literal equations have more than one variable, right? And often, it's just like a plug and play kind of thing. If we want to figure out the area of a triangle, right, we can either have the area, the base, or the height. And if we have any two of these, right, we can find out what the third one is, right? And there's all kinds of literal equations that are used, right? We went over on about how to do some of these more simple problems. We discussed those. We also discussed how to go through these word problems. We really have to make sure that we are uh, finding our question, underlining the question, circling or highlighting important information that we need to use. Now, to the homework, this is the page that I asked you to do, page 12. It's 9-1A. And really, it's just the same stuff. Well, of course, it's the same stuff because it's the homework. But let's look at a couple of the problems here that I've asked you to do, because some of them can not necessarily be confusing, but the steps required, we don't remember all the different things that we've done for these. Um, so, for example, on 3 here, all right, we have the Pythagorean theorem, the literal equation, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, all right? And it says solve for c. We want to get c all by itself. So we look at this and say, well, what's happening to c right now? Right now, c is being squared. And we've talked about this. We have to undo what's happening to c. And if we uh, undo this, we're going to have to find the square root. So we find the square root of both sides of the equation here. Right? Everything on this side has to also be done on this side. So when we find the square root of c squared, we get c all by itself, and we find out c equals a squared plus b squared, and the square root of that. Now, we can actually, I would accept this as an answer, but we can actually simplify this a little bit more, because we know that no matter what a and b are, when we square them and then find the square root of that, right, it's going to get rid of these squares. So really, c equals a plus b. Well, I did that kind of backwards, didn't I? There we go. So c equals a plus b, right? And that would be number 3 there. So just giving you a hint on how to do this. A is another kind of tricky one, not because it's hard, but just because we don't remember what to do here. So we have A equals 1/2 base times height. This is the area of a triangle. And they want us to solve for B. We want to get B all by itself. So we just go through the same steps, right? We write it down and we say, all right, well, what's my goal? My goal is to get B all by itself, right? So, well, what's happening to B? Well, this time it's being multiplied by h and 1/2. And since I have this 1/2 here, this fraction, I'm going to do this one a little bit different. Right? Usually I would go ahead and just divide by everything that's being multiplied here. Like this here, I would divide by pi and r on both sides. Right? I wouldn't do it separately, I would do it together. Well, here I'm going to do this as a little separate. So I'm going to get rid of the h first. I'm going to divide by h on both sides. So now I have a over h equals 1/2 b. Now, if you remember, if I get b by itself, I have to look what's happening to b. It's being multiplied by 1/2. So what's the opposite of that? How do you undo that? You have to divide by 1/2. And we can't divide by fractions, right? We have to multiply by the reciprocals. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 1/2, which is 2 over 1. So if we do that on both sides, right, All of this cancels. We get b by itself, and it equals 2 times a is 2a over 1 times h is h. So b equals 2a over h. All right. So there's a couple of examples of that. Let's look at the back. There are a few more that I want you to look at. Most of them, like I said, are very easy. It's not going to be very hard at all. Let's take a look at number 7 here. All right, there's nothing really all that difficult about 7. It's just multiple steps. And so we want to solve for L. So I say, all right, well, what's happening to L? Well, PEMDAS says that parentheses need to happen first. Well, there are no parentheses here. Any exponents, well, that means R is being squared, but that doesn't have anything to do with L. We want to know what's happening to L first. Then it's multiplication and division in order which occurs from left to right. So we look and say, okay, well, there is multiplication here because all these are touching, all these variables are touching, so they're being multiplied. So L is being multiplied by R and pi. That's the first thing that's happening here. Then PEMDAS says addition and subtraction happens. And so then we're adding pi r squared. Right? We're adding this part. So if we're going to undo this in the reverse order, right, we're going to undo the last thing that happened. And this was the last thing that happened. And what happened? We added pi r squared. So we're going to subtract pi r squared from both sides. Right? So t minus pi r squared, right, equals pi r L. Right? So then we have this. What's happening to it? Well, now it's being multiplied by pi r, so we're going to divide by pi r on both sides. And what do we have? L equals t minus pi r squared over pi r. I would accept this for your answer. You can simplify this a little bit more, but I don't need you to do that. This is good enough. Okay? Let's look at this one here. For example, ax plus by equals c, right? So we want to get y all by itself. Again, what's happening to y? First, it's being multiplied by a positive b, right? Then it's having ax added to it. So I'm going to undo this in reverse order. I'm going to subtract ax from both sides. So c minus ax equals by. Alright? And then I'm going to undo this division or multiplication with division. Divide by b. Divide by b. So y equals c minus ax divided by b. Okay? Let's just do one more. We're going to go over this. I'm just looking. Let's try this road salt problem here. It says road salt. The city keeps its road salt in a building shaped like a pyramid. The volume V of this building is 2,400 cubic meters. Solve the equation V equals 1/3 area of the base shape times the height for H. Then it says find the height of the building if the area of the base B is 400 square meters. So there's two problems here. First problem, they want us to solve the equation for H. They want us to get H all by itself, right? So here's the first problem. None of this other stuff is important right now, just this part. Okay, so we want to get H all by itself. What's happening to H? It's being multiplied by 1/3 B. Now, like I said, I have this fraction here, so I'm going to pull that out and deal with it in a second. But let's do this b. The b multiplied by b, so I'm going to divide by the area of the base shape on both sides. So what I have now is volume equals the volume over the area of the base shape equals 1/3 h. Now I'm going to undo this multiply by 1/3, which really, just to give you a little heads up, this is really h divided by 3, because if I multiply 1 times h over 1, right, I get h over 3. So I'm just really, if I undo divide by 3, I'm multiplying by 3 over 1 on both sides, which is what I do whenever I say I can't divide by a fraction. Right? To undo this, multiply by 1/3, I have to divide by a fraction, and I can't do that. I have to multiply by the reciprocal. But we see that's multiplying by 3 over 1 on both sides. So 3 over 1 times 3 over 1, right? These all cancel. I have h all by itself. So solve the equation here. 3 times v is 3v over b equals h. Well, once we have that, now we can go on to the second one. Find the height of the building if the area of the base b is 400 square meters. So this is where we look and say, okay, well, what's the important information? They're asking for the height of the building. Important information, the area of the base b is 400 square meters. And then we go back up here, the volume is 2,400. Right? So now we just plug it in. Right? We need v, we need the base shape, and we need the height. Right? Do we have the volume? Yep, 2,400. Do we have the area of the base shape? Yep, 400. Do we have the height of the pyramid? No, that's actually what we're looking for. So I plug it in to this new one that I have right here. 3 times 2,400 divided by 400 will equal the height of the triangle. So we can go ahead and multiply 3 times 2,400, and I'm going to go ahead and pull out my calculator. 2,400 times 3 is 7,200 over 400 equals h. So 7,200 divided by 400 is 18. So the height equals 18, right? Meters is what we're talking about, right? Well, there you go. I hope this helps you out. Remember, try your best on your homework no matter what. And then tomorrow when you come in, ask any questions you have, and we'll be able to work this out a little bit more. Thanks. Bye.